All right, let's, what do we have? Oh, God. Raw? Must we?
Raw was a very bad show.
This makes me want to learn more about Doug E. Fresh.
It was very bad for 3 hours, and it appeared that they did not make an effort to have a good show.
Why don't you get started here?
Dennis Miller opened the show. He bombed faster than anyone, I think, on any episode of Raw ever.
Thought you were going to make a really tasteless joke right there.
No. I was getting texts from friends who only watch wrestling sporadically, but they tuned in to see Dennis Miller, and they could not believe how badly he failed in this segment. He told some really awful jokes about politics. He was talking about women in politics and wrestling. I thought for sure this is going to somehow lead to a joke about Linda. If I was wrong. By the end of this, I was waiting for Abe Washington to come out and save the show. And
you spoke too soon.
Little did I know. And then he plugged his charity that helps the soldiers and their families, and that's very nice, and this ended. Bad television.
Doug E. Fresh here. The performance was captured on 2006 for the 2006 in-concert movie Awesome! I fucking shot that!
I'm sorry, what?
It's the name of the movie. Awesome! I fucking shot that.
Huh.
How about that? All right, let's get back to business here. Let's finish this fucking show. So yeah, he sucked. This being Dennis Miller. It was a horrible opening segment. The Truth and Jillian came out to announce Tag Team of the Year. Have you talked about this yet? I was busy reading about Dougie Fresh.
I did not. I would like to say that when Jillian came out, positives in this show are hard to find, so I'll point this out. Jillian's breasts look great. So she began to sing. Truth told her to shut up. It was lame. The award was for Tag Team of the Year. Nominees were DX, Legacy, Hart Dynasty, and Jericho and Big Show. And as much as I love the Hart Dynasty, it amused me they were nominated because I don't think they've even had a tag team match on pay-per-view yet. That's just the state of tag team wrestling in 2010, 2009. So, of course, Jericho and Big Show won, as they should have. Jericho thanked Edge for being a coward and getting hurt, and then thanked himself for choosing a great partner like Show. Show then vowed that they would retain the titles in the near future. Then he caught his own error and said it should be Regain, right? And Jericho said Regain. And Show pointed out Jericho's the smart one. That made me laugh. And that was that. And then Jericho announced that they were invoking their rematch clause tonight. They were getting the rematch immediately, and thus immediately burying the danger of the TLC match. They were fine and wanted the rematch right now.
Regal came out, demanded Christian find two partners to face him and his dastardly crew. And if this were real, why did they send Regal out with his two guys for a match that had not been signed yet? I don't know. Why am I even analyzing this? So, Christian comes out with Kane and the Great Khali.
Yes, this happened.
They just happened to be in the building.
And Christian actually acknowledged this made no sense because they had hated each other before, but they were willing to team up to fight Regal and his friends. Why? Don't know. But the match began with Vladimir Kozlov and the Great Khali in the ring wrestling against each other.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Everyone close your eyes and imagine Zeke and Kozlov against Kane and the Great Khali. Well, whatever you imagine, this was worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when they came out, I screamed. Like, what?
Yes.
What are you putting on television? And then they had this fucking match, and I was agape. Like, I could not fucking believe what I was seeing, that this was actually taking place in the ring. So, Kane got a hot tag, booted Kozlov, Khali hit the chop for the pin. Shite! This was.
Yes, Kozlov tagged himself in to get Zeke out, and Zeke was angry, and then Kozlov got pinned. And as my notes read, that about sucked.
More shit with Miller. Called out Tiffany and Teddy to introduce Superstar of the Year, and then, of course, they came out to introduce Breakout Star of the Year. And nominees were Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Yoshi Tatsu, and Abraham Washington.
They got three names in there, McIntyre, Sheamus, and Yoshi. And I thought, we rag on these guys for having the same people in the main event, but they got some, we're all fans of Yoshi, I think, and Drew McIntyre's pretty good. Sheamus has looked good, and I was thinking, boy, the future looks kind of bright. Then Abe Washington was a nominee.
Yeah.
No good.
Sheamus won, cut a promo, said he was awesome, this, that, and the other thing.
So listed some Hall of Famers who had never been WWE champion, so he was clearly better than them. And said Cena would take him seriously now, and as long as he was champion, Cena would never get his title back.
And then he said something like, he goes, "You're never going to get it back," and he goes, "Ah!"
And then they played his music, and it was over.
I don't know what noise he made. I played it back a few times to try to interpret it, and I was unable to. You get Blake Norton here on the line to tell me what the fuck he said. Cody and Kofi had a match. And
technically.
Went like a second before Dibiase ran in. I did like the teacher saying that Cody wears no knee pads. He's a throwback to, quote, the pure ways of the grappler.
Yes. It sounds like a book written about 1840.
The pure ways of the grappler. So Miller came out and said he'd just gotten a Slammy for the best guest host to take a shitty DQ and turn it into a tag team match.
The best part was where he openly admitted, I have no idea what just happened, but then he made his announcement.
Yeah. So Legacy and Kofi again, or Legacy against Kofi and Evan. And Kofi sold for a while. Evan made a comeback, ran wild. Actually, a great comeback. And then Ted cut him off out of nowhere and hit him with a roll of the dice for the pin. And Evan looked like he killed himself.
He took a very scary bump.
It's fun while it lasts.
This was another Matt Striker highlight reel. First, he claimed that in the match with Randy Orton last night, Kofi Kingston had suffered severe nerve damage. Yet he was still wrestling 24 hours later on this show on Raw. Later, Dibiase was on offense, and the teacher described this offense as Marine-like. And then when the other announcers picked up on this and started talking about Marine 2, Striker claimed this had been unintentional. Good one. And then finally, as Evan was making his comeback, flying around and kicking men and doing flips, he described Evan as chronically high-flying.
Yeah.
I laughed.
Chronically. Mm-hmm. More Dennis Miller.
This... He actually apologized for the opening segment.
Yeah.
I was redeemed him somewhat in my eyes.
He does get credit because I got to say that as the show went on, somehow he was getting better. I think. Mm-hmm. The show was certainly getting worse, but he was either staying at the same level, and since everything else was getting worse, he came off better, or he was slowly improving due to his surroundings.
I think it was more he was giving... First, because he acknowledged in the opening segment, he tried some jokes that were off script. They bombed. So he said, I'm going to go back to the script now. Those jokes also bombed. But as the show went on, he started ad-libbing.
Yeah.
And then he was funny. And I think his apology for the opening segment was an ad-lib, and it was kind of funny, and it was actually getting even better later. So the presenters for the next award were Vicky Guerrero and Santino Marella. Remember, everyone, I am a professional. Do not try this at home. Santino had this shirt with a huge collar and his unibrow and a Fu Manchu mustache looking just amazing. So they were there to announce the shocking moment of the year. The nominations were Orton taking out Stephanie and kissing her, Batista killing Ray, Punk retiring Jeff, and Sheamus putting Mark Cuban through a table. And then Punk won for retiring Jeff Hardy. He came out, threw a big party, and that's always fun. And then they went to commercial, and I was like, what the hell, we don't get a speech? But we did. It was after the commercial. And this is amazing. Punk cut a promo, thanked himself, as all the heels on the show did, listed his accomplishments of the year, 2 world titles, 1 Money in the Bank, retired Jeff Hardy, deserves the award. He then had a match with John Cena. He tapped out in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
In a 3-hour show.
Yeah.
They could not have more time for this match.
A tournament match, mind you.
A tournament match to determine the superstar of the year.
Yeah.
So we got, like I said, a 2-minute Punk promo, a 2-minute match, and then about a 48-minute John Cena promo.
Yeah.
The only good thing here is that there were women who were actually crying here, apparently just because Cena had lost the night before. The emotions this man gets.
He did do a promo saying he was sorry for failing, and it was very hard, and he was sorry for all the sadness and, most importantly, disappointment that he'd caused, but you could never give up. He hoped that people did not lose faith in him. And he said that WWE was all he had. He was not going to say he was going to work harder because he always worked hard. But God damn it, he was not going to lose again until he was the World Heavyweight Champion, or the WWE Champion. And didn't say what would happen if he did lose. He just vowed not to.
Yeah.
And then he went away, and everybody cheered, and some people booed, and yeah, he's a good promo, but
this was not the best.
Not a great promo.
He's tried to start off low key, and
he always does.
I guess so, but
this is the pattern now for John Cena.
This is the new John Cena template, where he starts off low key and ends up screaming at the end.
Yeah.
He was getting what chance? Which John Cena, everyone. They were doing the Steve Austin what thing for him. This was long. It was boring. it established nothing, really. And so to recap this segment, CM Punk won an award. He talked for 2 minutes. He wrestled for 2 minutes. And John Cena talked for seriously about 5, and that was it. Lame.
Actually, that was a pretty good promo. We had more Dennis. Match of the year called out the show, Triple H. So Triple H
took it in stride and thanked Dennis Milburn for the great intro.
Yep. Hunter, of course, didn't care enough to wear out his tag belts. So the nominees were Michaels, Undertaker, Cena versus Orton at Breaking Point, which actually was also a great match. Hardy versus Edge, Extreme Rules, where Edge got caught in the ladder. And Team Raw versus Team SmackDown at Bragging Rights.
One of these is not like the others.
A lot of those ribs on this show, actually. So Michaels and Undertaker won, and Hunter told us to go watch it because it was an absolute classic, and he knew that firsthand because he had to follow it, and he didn't stand a chance.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah. And Taker said Sean said he had the fortune of winning the award 2 weeks in a row. Of course, last year he beat Flair. And said he didn't break the streak, but he was proud of what they'd done, and he was about to leave, and then he changed his mind, and he came back and said, listen, Undertaker, I know I can beat you. More importantly, you know I can beat you. So right here, right now, I'm throwing out the challenge. You and me, WrestleMania, one more time. Craig peed his pants, and all was right in the world.
I'm not normally, at this point in my life, I'm not very sentimental when it comes to wrestling. Like, I was at the Ric Flair Hall of Fame speech and the retirement match against Shawn, and then when he wrestled a few months ago, I didn't really care.
No.
Didn't bother me. The idea of Shawn and Undertaker trying to top last year's match, that's just good luck.
I'll bet they can.
But if anyone can, it's them.
I'm going to tell you exactly why they're going to.
All right.
Because last year, Undertaker beat Shawn. They do the rematch. Who's going to win?
Undertaker.
So you just automatically assume it's going to be Undertaker.
Yes.
I think it's going to be Undertaker too. But I do think a lot of people are going to think that because they're doing it a second time, that there is a better chance this year that Shawn is going to win than last year. And thus, I think a lot of the near falls are going to have a hell of a lot more heat. And because of that, I think they're going to be able to work themselves into an even better match.
Well, I hope you're right.
Maybe everybody...
Jesus Christ, if you're right, that would rule.
Maybe everybody this year, it'll get 5 stars.
What if that's their goal? What if Shawn decided, I'm going to show that Alvarez fucker. I'll 5-star this bitch. I hope you're right. I hope it's great again. I just think that, first of all, the last year's match was so awesome, it's hard to do that again. Both these guys are now a year older, or a year more beat up. It's just a very high standard to live up to.
Remember, Vince, before last year's WrestleMania, when we said Undertaker and Shawn Michaels had a great match at Hell in a Cell in 1997? Mm-hmm. They're 11 years older. They're far more broken down. And look what they did.
They did pretty good.
Yes. Undertaker and Orton semifinal. Of course, this almost made me rethink what I just said, because this fucking sucked. 3 minutes, RKO outside the ring, slide in for the count out, Orton won. What a shitty tournament.
Okay. First of all, the first 2 matches went a combined 5 minutes. Second of all, it led to John Cena versus Randy Orton again.
Yeah.
This is where I was swearing out loud alone in my house, just cursing violently. And the only good thing about this was that Matt Stryker and Michael Cole seriously had a discussion about the proper use of vintage and when it should be used and what was overdoing it. That made me laugh. So then, after Orton had won, Legacy jumped The Undertaker. They tried to beat him up 3-on-1. He fought them all off just to render this entire segment completely meaningless.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
Miller called out Vince to introduce the best guest host. And
see, here is where I thought Miller was actually great, because here was where he noted that Vince McMahon had been giving him tips on how to do comedy,
yeah,
and how this made his career complete. And he was going on until Vince's music just cut him off, and Vince came out.
Nominees are Bob Barker, Seth Green, Shaq, and the Osbournes, and of course, Bob Barker! Come on down! You win the Slammy! And I was so happy I actually cheered right there in my living room.
They had an awesome, just fucking awesome Bob Barker acceptance speech on video.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, God, it was great. And
he's a great man.
He thanked everyone. He said he had a great time. He is very appreciative of the award. He reminded us all to have our pets spayed and neutered. And then he said, go for it!
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going for, but I'll go for it.
He He motivated you.
Yeah.
That's saying something. That's saying something right there. So then Vince said, listen, Dennis, if you could choose anybody, who should be a guest host on this program? And Miller said, I'm going to go out of the political arena here for a moment. I'd love to see Bret the Hitman Hart. And, of course, they acted like he was shooting. And so Vince blew it off and then sulked off, and that was that. So, yeah, Bret... oh, by the way, we have not heard from Bret Hart all day. So, yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow.
but right before Vince actually announced this, first of all, he came out and openly scolded the crowd for being shitty.
Yeah.
Told them, thought that perhaps they were dead, and asked them to make more noise. Then he said that he had this idea for a guest host and had said some have been better than others. And then he looked at Dennis, and Dennis was already chuckling, and at that point just completely lost all control and started laughing out loud. So that was also a highlight.
And then we had the Jericho meeting with Miller backstage and said, thanks for respecting me unlike all the other hosts. And Miller said, I don't respect you. I want to see you lose, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it led to the tag match, DX versus Jericho and Show. Rematch, straight match, united tag team titles. And the bell rang. Hunter immediately schoolboyed the ref for the DQ. Fans booed. Then they announced that Jericho and Show were the winners, but they did not win the titles. And Hunter said, shit, I screwed up the match. I lost the match and the prize money. And unfortunately, he said, that was the one rematch that Jericho got in his rematch clause. And Chris Jericho was so sad that it almost turned DX heel.
Yeah.
They said, as of this moment, he was officially trespassing. He said, if there were only some other wrestlers who hated you as much as we do, and of course you would think all the Raw wrestlers would come out and drag him out, but no. They sent out ECW and SmackDown wrestlers to drag him out.
Well, you had to be... They were all just head to toe in DX gear. Camouflage and camo pants and black t-shirts and various hats. So a lot of them I actually didn't recognize. I mean, Hurricane had his mask. That helped. But there was one guy, one skinny fellow walking around in a all DX gear and the Shawn Michaels cowboy hat doing the funniest crotch chops I ever saw. I was like, who is that man? Finally I realized it was Christian.
Yeah.
And he was the only good thing about this segment. As all these non-Raw guys let Jericho off Raw, and he was just rapid fire with the most over-the-top cartoon dramatic crotch chops ever, and it was awesome.
Carlito Eve Masters came out to introduce the Extreme Moment of the Year. I can't believe we're still talking about this show. We need to get this going.
It was 3-hour Raw.
Nominees were Kofi attacking Orton, Big Show sending Cena through a searchlight, Jeff Hardy doing a senton, Hunter beating up Orton. Jeff won, Matt accepted, Carlito beat him up, Carlito cut a promo thanking Jesus, Puerto Rico, himself, and
the Academy.
Let's just say the Academy. I don't want to talk about Twilight. All day now it's been one thing after another. Get a life, people. Who fucking cares that I didn't understand a fucking Twilight reference? So anyway, the Master put him in the Master Lock. Hardy punched Carlito, left with the award. Carlito's been great since returning, I will say that.
They keep burying him.
Yeah.
Maybe he's accepted that as his role now. He says, I'm going to be a clown. I will be the best clown I can be.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe.
Miz and McIntyre against, and the Woo-Woo guy.
When I was actually disappointed this is a 6-man, because when I saw a tag team of The Miz and Zack Ryder, I thought that would be great.
They faced Morrison, Henry, and Yoshitatsu, and match went about a minute. Woo-Woo was in there with Yoshi. They did a quick spot.
He went woo-woo and got kicked and pinned.
Yeah.
This went like a minute, yes, and this is... I'm sure this is by far the least amount of wrestling in a 3-hour show ever. I would not be stunned if there's more wrestling on ECW than on this 3-hour Raw.
The Mickeys and Maria and the Bellas and Melina and Kelly and Gail.
I just wrote 7 girls against 7 girls.
Michelle, Layla,
I don't write not a single name.
Rosa, Natalia, Maurice, Beth, and Alicia. All wearing evening gowns because they booked this match right before they announced who the Diva of the Year was. Think about that. So they have a match. The only 2 girls that get in are Mickey and Rosa.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
In evening gowns, mind you.
Yeah.
So Mickey won. No one else even tagged in. And then they're all standing there. Goldust and MVP come out to present the Slammy for Diva of the Year. MVP was wearing the Slammy on a chain around his neck. That was awesome. Goldust told a PMS joke that died so bad, he just turned and walked backstage. That was also fucking great. I I don't even know what to say. It was awesome. He just knew it sucked, and he just left. So they had the winner. It was Maria, who won apparently just because she's cute. She seemed legit surprised, and she began her speech. She was interrupted by Big Dave, who was doing a lame Kanye West joke and bitching about the Screwjob of the Year award that he did not win, and then security let him off. So
I don't give a shit about the joke, but Batista in his pink shirt with the collar turned up, that was the best thing ever.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
They're doing everything conceivable to make this man hated.
Yes. I did think, though, that this guy, he had won the world title the night before, had it revoked on a decision that everyone thought was pretty shitty, and then his only appearance on this show the next night is a throwaway comedy segment. That's impact-rific right there.
Then we had the stupidest fucking segment of the year. A Slammy Award winner, if ever there was one. Abraham Washington, Tony Atlas, and Big Dick Johnson came out. The announcers were fake laughing at Tony's fake laughing. Abe announced the Oh My moment of the year. Nominees were Chris Masters Pecs, Michaels super kicking a little girl, vintage Michael Cole barfing on Jericho, and Santino putting a pie in Vicky's face, and Cole won. He threw a goofy celebration. He hugged everybody. He rushed the stage. He hugged the fat, oily guy. He talked about how slobber knocker was passé and vintage was the catchphrase of a new era.
He dubbed this the era of vintage, and also oh my. This is one of those times where I think, how can you be so awesome here and so Michael Cole every other segment?
You thought he was awesome here.
At least it was. I laughed at him.
You laughed at him because he was making fun of himself.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Well, so there you go. And
later this led to Miller coming out one last time, and we talked about how he was funnier the less he stuck to the script. He simply deadpanned, after seeing Big Dick Johnson, I need to go remove my eyes with a power drill.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny.
I didn't laugh. But I was sad to see him go after Abraham Washington, Tony Atlas, Big Dick Johnson, and Michael Cole making JR jokes.
Dennis Miller was funnier than any of those four. That's true. We had the latest bit of DX shilling merchandise. There was the usual stupid humor where they plug toys and shirts and DVDs and whatnot. But I do still laugh at the Jingle Bells version of the DX theme song. I don't know if you had it last week.
You know, I'm just going to cut you off here because I've just been thinking about this as I review this insufferable show. In 2 weeks, we're going to get a 3-hour Impact.
Yes.
I don't know.
If you're going to make it?
I really don't know. This show was bad. This was a bad wrestling program right here. 3 hours of Impact? I'm horrified.
Well,
going head-to-head with Raw. I got to watch 5 hours of this shit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Could be at it.
Hopefully Brett's there and they shoot a big angle.
Live for the moment, dude. Just worry about today.
Live for the moment.
Get through today.
That's supposed to be a positive statement.
Yeah.
Like, enjoy every moment. All right, I'm just going to remember this. I'm going to remember you said that the next time when you're watching that 3-hour Impact. When you send me a text 5 minutes in that just has a bunch of exclamation points and number signs and squiggly lines.
Somehow managed to send fire through a text message.
I'm going to just say, live for the moment, Vince.
All I'm saying, Brian, is that's in the future. Just be happy right now. It's going to suck.
Oh, I'm overjoyed to be talking about Abraham Washington, Tony Atlas, and Big Dick Johnson.
All right, you got a point.
And then Cena and Orton.
And then John Cena wrestled Randy Orton for the 7 millionth time.
Somebody go back and tell me how many of the matches these two guys have had this year, and how many of them ended with Orton goes for the wacky kick, Cena lifts him up and gives him the FU.
Yeah.
I've seen this match. I've seen this finish 1,000 times. I never want to see it again.
Yeah. I am not ashamed to say I just skipped through the end to document what happened and wrote it down. So, John Cena won. John Cena, by winning 2 matches tonight, is officially the superstar of the year. That's good comedy in and of itself right there.
You know what else? Not the fact that we had to see this match again. But We just watched like 4 weeks of storylines where Randy Orton came out every week and begged the guest host to let him have a match with John Cena. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Every week he came out. He tried to intimidate people. He tried to push people around. Week after week he came out. And I believe it was last week I said, you know this is going to lead to a match. Because it seemed they were building towards it. Then they just do a fucking tournament.
Yeah.
They both win in a minute, and then they have a shitty match, and Cena wins.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's bad enough I got to see this goddamn thing again. But this was how we got it?
This is a bad show. This is a very bad episode of Monday Night Raw.
This was the worst Raw of the year.
Probably.
Oh, my God. If this would have run head-to-head with Impact, there'd have been no show today. Because there'd been no me.
What if both shows do a combined 0 rating? The wrestling industry dies in one night.
I don't know. They've got to do something. Because I liked Raw last week. I thought it was a really good show. This week? No.
In any way.
Let's play a song here and wrap it up. This is by the great Mr. Canada. It is not the 6.5-hour version. That's right. Mr. Canada compiled the top 50 moments of 2009 on the radio shows, or at least the Observer Radio, Figure 4 Daily, and the Brian and Vinny Show. He chose the top 50 moments of 2009, put them in one file. It's 6.5 hours long.
I think he officially put more work into the show now than I did in 2009.
Maybe in your entire career.
Yeah.
So if you want to listen to it, go to the board. It's in the radio show section. People have been enjoying the hell out of it. But here is a 5-minute teaser. I realize 5 minutes seems like a long time, but I listened to it and the goddamn thing just rushed by. A 5-minute version of the best of 2009.
Best of 2009.
Here at figure4online.com/wrestlingobserver.com.
The top moments of the year.
All right.
A man who has returned from the brink of death, Buddy fucking Wayne, is on the show. Look at that ass. Look at that ass. Shane McMahon, his wacky jerseys. Oh, it just drives me crazy looking at this guy.
He may not have went out of his way to play a piano with it like New Jack to make sure everybody noticed.
You look like a sausage.
In WCW, do you know why the Yeti was a mummy?
And everybody's looking going, look at, hey, that's Rob Battle, hey, that's Freddie May. Look, he's peeing, hey, he's peeing in the street.
Oh my God! Oh, jeez. You know, Marky, we come out.
I'm the king of the board.
That was an awesome song.
Don't fuck with me. How does that one get me every time? In the end, Mr. Kennedy is going to get the last laugh on me.
And anybody who can last 5 minutes with this monkey can make $50.
What gym do you train at?
Mike, you're embarrassing me. Come on now.
Have you seen Suburban Commando, brother?
Yeah, these little lesbians, man, they're going to be great. You know, I'm teaching them how to shoot a gun and how to kick balls.
Cheetown.
Well, you and Dave never picked it up, and Vinny had to point it out to you. How bad is that?
And I say, let's have it right now.
I have crossed the line. It is my destiny. It is the truth I seek. In this world, I'll find a way to cross the line.
Well, God was watching the other show.
God was watching the other show.
He didn't have to
break his hand. For all you bald guys out there, check out headblades.com. I wonder if you'd like to do an endorsement deal with me. We really don't endorse part-time shavers.
He hadn't have sent the A-bomb. They would have came and got us, and we'd have all been in the gas chamber.
Roof, 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 roof. Roof, 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 roof.
Obviously, you're not going to get any phone numbers from Benoit.
And Lauren asked AJ what the status of his retirement was. He proceeded to lift up a backpack. A backpack!
I'm not an anti-pot guy at all.
What's everyone's big deal about star ratings?
The only reason I know Buddy's going in for surgery is because I happened to read one of the Buddy Show threads. No one told me.
We've only been talking about it on the website for like weeks now.
Titties! You're the new green kid. He's a Hall of Famer. Shut up and take the ribbing.
Catch me on Xbox Live, playing a lot of Madden. AOTF Black is my screen name. Is ODB man, woman, fish, marsupial, or mammal?
She may be one of the exoticos.
Anyways, I wanted to get my questions in because I like your answers.
I didn't have a crib for you, so I kind of put a little mattress on the floor in the closet.
you can actually go online and you can see in a menu, you can see every person who's playing Halo 3 around the globe.
Really?
And the brighter the light shows the higher concentration of people playing Halo 3 in that area at that time.
Incredible.
That's actually been one of the coolest things I think I've ever seen.
Incredible. Yeah.
So my goal was to get a stripper to like me because of my heart, and I actually managed. So that was really good.
It wasn't cool to see my friend Rashad Evans get knocked out.
Well, there is that. Terry Funk is on the line. Terry, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, Dave.
Please leave your message for
Terry Funk! Who do you think was the legitimate toughest wrestler of all time?
Ming. Belongs to Ming.
28.5%.
If Haku went into UFC, obviously, he would get killed. So how many buys UFC get Saturday?
380.
Okay, it's interesting you said that.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's much lower than everyone else thinks.
Really?
Edward, how are ya? Again, you're a loser, failure, and unhappy, living the business life.
But still, the
highlight... Let me finish.
All right. Yeah, but I'd also presume that in most of those countries, they may only have one channel.
You presume really wrong.
I said the UK fans when they were in Ireland. And this just caused people to lose their mind. This says more about Ireland than it says about me. Who is this and where are you calling from?
Oh, wow, I can't believe I got through. This is David Wolf out in D.C., Washington, D.C. Thank you guys so much. I'll hang on if you can talk with me a little longer. Thanks.
All right. Thanks very much for the call. Go ahead, Dave. This trumped the Super Bowl. Now, granted, the Super Bowl hadn't happened yet, and the buzz in Vegas for UFC was significantly bigger than the buzz in Vegas for the Super Bowl.
Vadim, where are you? I remember George Best when I knew him in, he was a famous soccer player in the 70s, and I knew him in 1980 when he played for the Earthquakes. You should ask Oliver, because Oliver knows.
Knows the story, or?
Oh, Oliver knows.
Oh, well, I'll talk to Oliver then.
Yeah, Oliver knows.
The issue at hand here is from the 1 hour, 1 minute, 44-second mark on the October 25th Wrestling Observer Radio.
Let's do some of the mailbag questions here. This person says, was there ever any consideration given to... Actually, hold on.
When Brian decides to go back to the mailbag, he purposely reads an entirely different question. He knew exactly what he was doing when he clicked the question that said, with authority inside of it.
This person here says, back in the 90s, Bret Hart bought a mansion in America from Monty Burns. Did he ever sell it back to him?
I thought his mansion was in Calgary.
And there you go. A snippet of the top 50 moments of 2009. That did fly by. It did fly by. The 6 hour and 30-minute version is up right now on the board if you want to check it out. But that is it from here. 90 minutes. What the fuck's wrong with us?
We went 90 minutes?
Yeah. God. I know. It's ridiculous.